trying to overcome it and deal with those consequences. But for the purpose of this conference, I want to give thanks to the organisers for making it possible for us to be present. But first, let me pay tribute and to acknowledge the spirits of Morocco and the spirits of the ancestors, whose spirits can dwell in this land. We say that they never leave; they will always be here. And if you listen and think close enough and slow your mind down, you can hear them. They will speak to you. Let me just talk very quickly about my people and we're a people who have a oral history. We've never recorded any of our historical deeds. But my people, we talk about, when you talk about spirituality, we talk about a place, in Australia when they refer to Aborigines, they refer to Aboriginal people as people who come from the dream time. And a lot of people ask us, what is the dream time? And for us, the dream time is a time before the time that we know now. It's a spiritual time where there was a spiritual realm, there was no physical world. And in this place, we call it Bulima, which is up in the sky, and we can show you where this place is. And what happened was that the spirits began to dislike each other, and they played tricks on each other, and they started to become embroiled in conflict with each other. And so the Creator and his 4 wives sat together and said, we have to stop this, and we need to change this, and we need to make sure that we set a regime in place where the people will learn from their mistakes, and we will give them those guidelines in a new physical world. And so in doing that, he banged upon the heavens, and of course the universe, what we call the universe, tipped upside down. And when it tipped upside down, the waters and the rocks and everything fell off, which is what we call now the universe. And up there, when we look at night in the night skies, we can see the Milky Way. And the Milky Way for us is a place called Warramburu. Warramburu is a place where the river was, and all the water fell off. And the tribes on the eastern side, where the day comes from, and the tribes that came from the dark, where the dark comes from, we all got created back here on earth, and the Creator came to this earth, and they created this physical world that we are part of. Within that world, He created the spiritual realm, but He also created the physical realm. And He and His wives made sure that the teachings of the wrongdoings were left here on the earth for us to observe, and we had to follow this. When we talk about climate change in the modern era, we understand that because we have experienced climate change. We know what climate change is. And if I can sort of just inform you quickly about the climate change. When the world was created, the Creator had some bad people following Him, spirits, and they were called the Ghillar, or in my language that means the crocodiles. And they came underground because they were after the love of the 2 women to overpower the Creator. And in other cultures, in other groups within Australia, they call him the serpent. And so the great serpent travelled underground, and he was following the Creator and his 2 wives. And he wanted to get those women because he wanted to take their power, which made him greater than the Creator himself. And the Creator found where these places were. They kept coming up from underground looking. And all the water that was underground followed these fellows. That's how we got the aquifers under the ground, because they created these aquifers. When they came up, that's how we got the springs. And we know where these things are. And the Creator pushed all the wood and everything that He had into a hole, and He lit this fire to burn underground so that He could find where these things were so He could catch them. But during this time, when the fires kept burning and He hadn't realized how long these fires would burn, And of course, so we have stories about volcanic activity right across Australia. And we talk about how the flowers and the trees got burnt off the earth. And then we had to send one of our clever fellows, one of our, what we call Ringham. He'd go back to the mountain and he had to go up and talk to the Creator and say, you caused this, you caused those fires. We want our plants back, we want the animals back, because we're all dying there because we don't have these things. And so he gave him seeds to take back and stand on the highest mountain and throw those seeds into a place which we now call Ghillar, which is the largest scrub, natural scrub, anywhere on the planet. And this is a place called Ghillar, and all the flowers and the trees and everything, they grow from this place, and they get carried away by the animals and the trees and the winds. And these things then repopulated around the earth. And we found all these plants were growing and got them back again. We brought the flowers back onto the earth. There is also, during this time, the Creator sent a man called Yanta, we call him, onto our dry land in Australia. And he said, these things they brought water to the land. Now I need you to go down there and take this out to the deserts and bring this water up. So Yanta travelled underground and took the water with him, and he created all the springs around Australia that we now live on, particularly in the country, because it's a very big country with a lot of desert and a lot of dry land. We have the rivers, which we have up there, the emu, which is a totemic symbol for us. He lays in that Milky Way because he was a water spirit. And so every year the water spirit, when he goes away from up there and we can't see him in the sky anymore at night, he's walking the earth, or he's in the water holes on the earth, just checking out to make sure that the water's around throughout our country. We are very concerned about being interfered with in terms of those teachings, because when they're regulating rivers now, as they are for farming, and trying to develop what they call sustainable water programming by creating dams and stopping river flows and then selling the water downstream for farming, etc. This is a major interference with the natural ecosystem, and it's creating all sorts of problems within the natural ecosystems. Water is not running across the lands, across the floodplains anymore, and the animals and the plants are beginning to die again. And this is all man-made, and we need to stop this. We also have stories about megafauna, and we talk about man gluttony. And in this system where we talk about the megafauna that was destroyed, we talk about the wedge-tailed eagle. This was a man who was a cannibal, and he ate his own people. And so he got his two wives, one bird and a spider. They were his two wives. And these two would attract men to the camp, and he would kill these men. Nowadays, we call that tribe, that clan that we talk about in our stories, that's the diprotodons that they now find in the soil around the lakes where they used to live. But the eagle killed him and ate all those diprotodons, and so we blame him, and we have stories about making sure that you don't do these things ever again, and you have to live in harmony with each other, because it is very easy to wipe out one species in favour of gluttony and greed, and we need to be very mindful of that. On the other stories we have, which we talk about in terms of the natural life cycle, the way in which we are part of the natural life cycle is that when the creators came, they called down the mimis, the grandmothers, and they called down, in my case, amongst my people, the tribe that I come from, the Yualia and Damaroi, they called down 4 grandmothers. And one is called Miria, one is called Yunga, one is called Guri, and the other one is Bibla and Mugu. And these are twin sisters. And these mothers, grandmothers, are actually plants. And they're plants that belong to each ecosystem, the 4 ecosystems. And everything that grows within that ecosystem are the children of those mothers, of those grandmothers. That includes the fish, the animal, the snake, the man, the bird, the plants. So we all related. And so when we talk about Native America and Native Canada. They talk about all our relations. And of course, that's the same with us. We have all of those things because we do not see ourselves separate from the natural world. We are part of the natural life cycle. We are part of the nature. And so it's our obligation to look after nature. And our conflict now is understanding what is known in the Western world as religion. This is a very strange concept to us because spirituality is all of us. When you talk about humanity, I listen to you Western talk, thinking and reading about humanity, but they only talk about man. They don't include the bees, the birds, the flies, the mosquitoes, the ants. They don't include them as part of humanity. They don't include the trees and the plants and the shrubs as part of humanity. For us, they are family, and we have obligations to them. Under our totemic systems, we have regulated our system of life where we cannot kill our own totem. So I belong to a kidna. My mother is a kidna. I belong to red-bellied blacksnake. I also belong to kangaroo, red kangaroo, and I also belong to emu. I am not permitted to kill any one of those things, nor is anyone in the same totemic relationship with me who are the same animals. We are not allowed to kill our own species. We are not allowed to eat from a plant that belongs to us as part of our family. And so we regulate the system. We have a control system within our society and governance so that we are ordered not to do that. If we are found to do that, we will get punished in a very big way, and we have capital punishment and we have corporal punishment.